Nigeria's agricultural value chain is currently not able to meet the food demands of the country. Poor farming conditions, lack of access to finance and markets, insecurity, lack of technical know-how, poor seedlings, climate change, and the absence of good agricultural practices are some of the factors responsible. Additionally, the lack of mechanization has led to a high cost of production, low turnaround time, and low volume of crop production by the farmers.
Àwọn àdójúkọ tá a rí ni pé tá a bá gbin ata, tòmátò tó jáde téwé ẹ̀ wúyàn, ìgbà tó bá máa tójọ́ mẹ́ta àwọn kòkòrò, gbogbo wọn oríṣiríṣi kòkòrò wọn á ti wá bò, wọn á jẹ, kò ní dáa mọ́ àwọn èso tí ó máa hù lórí ẹ̀ tó máa jáde lórí ẹ̀ kò wá ní tẹ́ wa lọ́rùn kó tó di pé ètò àjọ NICOP yóò dé.
Before NICOP's intervention, some of the challenges that were there was around the adoption of using hybrid varieties, and also they had challenges with pests and diseases on their field with respect to tomato and chili.
Before, when we discovered that since we are using the old system of planting, when we just spray the tomato seed, at the end of the day, we discovered that the yield is not something, okay to us. The yield is not much. And because we still use the old seed, we still plant the old seed. So at the end of the day, you see that the disease that other tomato produce have, you also still have them.
So we also have a challenge with drying system. Sometimes when we grow our chili pepper, to dry it is another problem. So it's also a challenge. Sometimes when we supply to AC food because of improper or lack of good drying facilities. So we are having a lot of issues with them. Sometimes our chili turn to black in color, and there are so many other extraneous materials.
One of the other challenges of Nigerian ginger is the aflatoxin contamination. Now, aflatoxin contamination is very important because it affects the quality, the costs of Nigerian ginger when it gets to the international market. That is apart from the fact that aflatoxin is a contributor to many health challenges, including cancers, malnutrition, as well as premature death.
Developing a more sustainable solution for agricultural value chains demanded more than simply working with farmers to improve yields.
The Nigeria Competitiveness Project, NICOP, is actually co-funded by the European Union and the BMZ, that is the German cooperation. It is implemented in Nigeria by the GIZ under the SEDIN program. The NICOP project has been operating in 7 states in Nigeria, and we've been focusing across 4 major value chains in Nigeria. Those are tomato and chili, ginger, leather and garment, and we've been provided different areas of support to increase competitiveness across all the actors in the value chain.
We began work in those local governments, and we discovered that the farmers were working in isolation. They were not clustered, they were not in any group, and they were not organized. So the first thing we did was to begin to form clusters, and we encouraged the farmers to form these clusters, and the clusters allowed us to be able to train them.
We don't really have a group. We are not in clusters. So when NICOP came, they organized us. They formed cluster for us. So we joined, and many farmers joined, especially tomato and pepper farmers, we joined. And since then, we have been together, and they have been training us. And every member of the cluster, we have something to show forth since the NICOP came.
Babban damuwanmu a lokacin kafin NICOP ya zo ya fara mu'amala da mu, muna da challenge na kasuwa, muna da shi kansa haɗin kai a junanmu babu, kowa yana son kansa. Amma da NICOP ta zo ta fahimtar da mu muhimmancin haɗuwa mai aiki a tare shine teamwork. Shine lokacin da aka koyar da mu wannan group formation. mu je mu sai kaya a tare, mu zauna mu yi aiki a tare, sai muka ga ashe ai babbar gudunmuwa ce ta bamu. Tunda a nan misali in kai kana da naira 10 wannan yana da naira 5 za mu haɗu mu haɗa ƙarfi. Idan aka ce mutum ɗaya ne zai yi ba zai iya ba.
Our journey with GIZ, they now meet few of us that we are farming ginger. Ask us questions, ask us whether we are willing to form a cooperative as ginger farmers. And some of us put interest. Actually, we were more than the 30. We are about 200 in that hole when we have that discussion. But only few of us that give interest to start.
Delivering a sustainable solution necessitated collaboration with a range of actors across the value chain to ensure that each stage offered cost-effective yet profitable outcomes.
I think the major differences of what NICOP has done in Nigeria is that we bring a value chain approach focused on inclusivity and on innovation.
So some of the innovations that NICOP was able to bring on board for these smallholder farmers to be able to access well. Number one, NICOP ensured that they had access to premium seeds. Like we all know, best seeds, you have best yield as a farmer. So NICOP ensured that they were able to access best seeds, hybrid seeds to be particular. That was achieved by, NICOP working with agro companies to be able to bring this to a place of reality and sustainability and, something that farmers can easily have access to.
Nǹkan tí àjọ NICOP wá ṣe ní pàtó tó tẹ́ wa lọ́rùn ni pé ọmọ ata tí wọ́n gbé wá fún wa, tòmátò, àwọn yẹn da oògùn oríṣiríṣi tá a máa lò sí tí ò ní sí pé àwọn kòkòrò kínní oúnjẹ mọ́, kò wá sí gbogbo wọ̀nyẹn mọ́. Àwa eléyìí ó mà ṣe kàǹkà.
When NICOP came with the training, where our eyes were open that, so we can easily do it like this. So once we get this seed, it can easily be planted using this 1 centimeter, and this thing really helped us. Then also, like all this, the whole tomato seed that we're planting, before we even take them to the market, it's already spoiled. But like this new seed we were introduced to, you discover that even in 3 weeks, when you just put them on the floor, you just discover that small, they begin to becoming red, and no flies, nothing. So like all this one help, there are some of the things that really help us to make proud of ourselves as a tomato farmer.
NICOP set out to understand the challenges facing the farmers and to assist them to develop and improve the yield and quality of their products through trainings on good agricultural practices.
We received a lot of support from NICOP. One, we received capacity training on different areas of productions, like nursery, an area of how we can be able to raise our nursery, how we can manage our nursery, how we can plant, where we can plant, when we plant, even determine the climates. So all we receive training on this, and also we receive training on post-harvest management.
Nínú ètò NICOP, a kọ́ wa bí a ṣe lè máa gbin àwọn èrè wa. Àkọ́kọ́ náà, distance tó máa wà láàárín stand kọ̀ọ̀kan. Ẹ mọ̀ wípé tá a bá ń gbin tẹ́lẹ̀, àwọn láyé àtijọ́ àwọn bàbá wa ẹsẹ̀ la máa ń lò pé táyé bá wà nínú ẹ̀ yóò jẹ́ kó rí atẹ́gùn débi wípé yóò lè so. Ṣùgbọ́n ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí NICOP fún wa ó yàtọ̀ sí eléyìí kétékété wípé tá a bá gbìn tó súnmọ́ra wọn yóò so èso, yóò sì fún wa ní èrè tó jẹ́ wípé nígbà tí a bá harvest ẹ̀ àwa gan lè máa wò pé ṣé pé ohun tá a ti ń ṣe bọ̀ látẹ̀yìn erémọdé lásán ni.
Tí Ọlọ́run bá fún wa lóore ọ̀fẹ́ sí nígbà tá a bá fi rí bí ọdún kan tàbí ọdún méjì sí pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn tí àwọn GIZ ń ṣe yìí, a lè gbin nǹkan tí ó lè tó gbogbo Ọ̀yọ́ state yìí jẹ, nítorí pé wọ́n ti tún jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ fún wa nípa àwọn irinṣẹ́ ìgbàlódé tá a lè máa lò wọ́n ti jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ fún wa àwọn èròjà tá a fi lè gbin àwọn ata àti tòmátò wa. Èyí tá a bá fẹ́ kí kẹ́míkà ní ìpalára lórí ẹ̀, wọ́n ti jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ fún wa wípé àwọn organic fertilizer tá a lè máa lò ó ti wà jàǹtìrẹrẹ. Wọ́n sì ti mú wa ṣalábàápàdé àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ ńláńlá tó ṣe wípé ó ń ṣe àwọn èròjà yìí.
Working with farmers, off-takers, and a range of lenders, NICOP helped actors appreciate their dependency on each other and de-risk critical factors that had previously discouraged investment in agricultural initiatives at the community level. NICOP focused on empowering smallholder farmers and linking them to selected off-takers and processors. This meant that smallholder farmers were able to grow products that met the standard required by off-takers due to the support provided by the project.
Before NICOP, we don't have any off-taker. And we only go to the open market and sell our ginger. And you know how middlemen used to control the market. So, but thanks to NICOP, this year we are able to get an off-taker that is ready.
They introduce partners to us, especially that married multipurpose cooperative. It's something that this company is looking up to, because you can go to any market and buy ginger, buy turmeric, but at the end of the day, if you find out that there is contamination inside it, how can you trace it back?
We're primarily buying from the farmers now for our own production process. So in terms of the specifications for our own production process, it's largely measured up. We've had a very clear-cut specifications and a grading system to let the farmers know what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and that has worked.
The intervention came at the right time, because at the point when it came, I was about giving up on the business. You know, it became, even though we had a good product, the few people who, you know, came in contact with it loved it. We had challenge getting our ingredients. For instance, you know, tomato is seasonal. So they connected us with farmers in Yoruba, like I said, even farmers in Ogun State, you know, with the hope of we getting tomatoes from them. So they gave us that connection so that we have people to relate with in getting, you know, in sourcing our raw materials.
The increase in quality and yield invited closer collaboration with commercial off-takers, leading to NICOP overseeing the adoption of formal business models, including contract farming, to combat the factors that discouraged investments. The approach has resulted in improved opportunities for clusters, which are now able to negotiate sustainable business deals with off-takers seeking regular supplies of quality yields for processing or retail sale.
Our farmers are more confident in themselves that if you can just get money and you go into this, definitely you will make gain. Not like before that, even when you borrow money to go into it, before you take it to the market, it's spoiled. And yeah, you know, before they even come, and like this one, there are off-taker for it. We have off-taker already. I have some off-taker that are disturbed that is your tomato not ripe enough for selling, and they are ready to have it, they are able to take as many tons as you have. Even up to now, we can't still meet up their demand. So these are part of the thing we gain from NICOP, because before we cannot even boast of planting much hectares, talk less of meeting up with market demand.
NICOP introduced agro-input companies to smallholder farmers to showcase improved seeds and inputs through demonstrations for improved yields.
NICOP ta damu da kamfanoni na taki da iri da maganin feshi. Akwai Basaf, akwai Jibeli, akwai Agric Techno. Alhamdulillahi, mun yi amfani da waɗannan magungunan su kuma da shawarwarinsu wanda mun samu duk abin da ake bukata. Sannan bayan nan ta damu da kasuwa, kamfanin Karawe wanda shine za mu ringa bawa kayanmu yana siya.
Additional support was provided to processors on certifications and standards that promoted improved processing quality, marketing, and exports.
The intervention that we are getting through GIZ NICOP is the issue of, we just find out that this certificate is up to 1.something million. That's the HACCP. And this company, do we have that kind of money to register this product with the HACCP that we are talking about? No, but at least NICOP, they were able to train this. It's not only me that they train virtually all of our staff.
Absolutely, we had a couple of trainings, a number of trainings that not only myself, but including our staff and the women in our network and our cooperatives were a part of, in terms of, packaging, in terms of food safety, processing safety standards like the HACCP training and all that. They exposed us to a lot of trainings that have been able to improve the capacity of not just ourselves as a business, but other, because what we do is not just for ourselves. We are passing on this knowledge to the other women that we are training in our network.
NICOP also promoted the use of reusable plastic crates to mitigate post-harvest losses in transit and instigated matchmaking between the clusters and large-scale institutions such as AFEX and GB Foods.
Láti pàṣẹ jẹ́ àwọn GIZ a ti gba crate tí a lè fi ta ọjà wa. Nígbà tí a kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní kékeré, wọ́n jẹ́ kó dímọ̀ fún wa pé nǹkan kan ń bẹ tí ń jẹ́ crate, apẹ̀rẹ̀ la máa fi ń tà. Bàbá sì lọ ta bọ̀ yóò ti jẹ̀pọ̀ mọ́ra wọn àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, omi ò ti fọ́ yóò ti tẹra wọn. Ṣùgbọ́n gba crate dé, láwọn pé eléyìí mà tún dáa kẹ́. Wọ́n kọ́kọ́ fún wa ní 200 crates pé ká máa fi báṣẹ́ lọ. Yàtọ̀ fún eléyìí, a tún wá rí wípé ìrẹ́jẹ ń bẹ nínú ká máa fi apẹ̀rẹ̀ ta tòmátò. Wọ́n tún gbé scale fún wa tí a tún fi ń ta àwọn tòmátò wa.
By defining better relationships and targeting key areas of production, NICOP was also able to expose farmers to innovative techniques of mechanization, irrigation, and circular economy solutions such as composting.
Àwọn ìnira tó wà níbi iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àtijọ́ òun ni pé kò sí ìmọ̀ nípa ìbomirin tí a ń pè ní irrigation. Tí a bá ti gbìn lásìkò tí ìgbà tí òjò wà ó parí. Ṣùgbọ́n ní àkókò yìí nípa ètò ìbomirin tí a ń pè ní irrigation, ó àti òjò àti ẹ̀rùn àti ìgbà tí òjò wà àti ìgbà tí ò sí òjò, òun ló fún wa ní àǹfààní tó yẹ pé tó ire oko wa ń jáde gẹ́gẹ́ bí ó ti tọ́ àti bí ó ṣe yẹ nípa ìmọ̀ èyí tí àwọn àjọ EU, BMZ àti GIZ tí wọ́n kọ́ wa yìí. Ní àkókò yìí àtòjò àti ẹ̀rùn ìgbà tí a ní omi àti ìgbà tí ò sí omi, ó ń rọrùn fún àwa àgbẹ̀ tí ire oko wa sì ń jáde gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìmọ̀ tí agbára ti ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn àjọ wọ̀nyí.
Before we used to plant, it would take us 2 days with 63 manpower before you can do 1 hectare. But when we do our planting with the planting machine, I think highest 4 hours. Today they are harvesting too. It always took us 2 days. Like last year around 3 days. But to the glory of God, today it is not up to 3 hours. So we have received all this support through NICOP. We are very, very grateful.
NICOP also identified a range of solutions to add value to the various crops and provided a variety of processing equipment to beneficiaries. This has resulted in clusters being able to use items including dryers, slicers, weighing scales, autoclaves, and packaging machines for small and medium enterprises at the local level to produce quality products that have increased opportunities for revenue generation.
The solar dryer has helped. Before, if you have ginger, you want to dry it, takes you 5 days. But now it's 48 hours.
And also, the process, you dry it on ground, and many deaths will come and have their feast on it. So, but now, the solar dryer is helping us to minimize food hazard.
Babban matsalar mu manoma tumatir a ce kasuwa. Ka yi noman ka kashe kuɗi, ka shiga kasuwa ka ji an sa farashin tumatir kusan ƙasa da abin da in ka tashi ma ka saida ba za ka fita ba. To wannan solar dryer din ba ƙaramin tallafa mana ce manoma ba, wanda za mu yayyanka tumatir a cikin tsafta, mu shanya shi, mu adana shi har lokacin da kasuwarsa za ta zo.
Here, I have about either 4 or 5 sacks which has already been dried. And while we take it to the market before, when nobody buy it, so it's at waste. Farmers at loss because no storage. So now, GIZ, they gave us a fish. They taught us how to produce tomato and pepper. And they provided us a storage, and that is a solar dryer. What else? Not only me, but the community are benefiting from the so this is a solar dryer. We don't have any storage. I can say that in Ibrapa land.
The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic cannot be overlooked. With physical meetings impossible, NICOP shifted to online training for stakeholders.
We actually move as much as possible all our trainings and capacity buildings from direct contact with the beneficiaries to webinars or online events wherever it was possible.
Like there's this radio phone training I started receiving some times ago. To call on COVID-19, give us tips on how farmers can, what we need to know. And after the training session, like some notes will be dropped on my phone. All this, I go back to the cluster to train them and to put them through. So it has really helped us. The training from GIZ on COVID-19 has really helped our cluster to improve.
So COVID-19, like we all know, hit everybody in the whole world, not just us, and we were not, left out of the challenges. So a lot of farmers suffered losses during that period. Personally, for all some of our farmers, they were just about to start the season of harvest and all that, and tomato is highly perishable when the lockdown set in. So some of them actually lost on produce on the farms. Some of them could not transportation systems were not flowing as usual, even processing. So for us in the factory, we stopped production for a while because, of course, you can't be working like every day. There was a lot of lockdown. We're not going anywhere. So even them getting the products to us and reprocessing, a lot of shortfalls as a result of that. And one of the things NICOP did for us was to also introduce us to some consulting companies that were able to recommend us to some of these donor organizations that were funding and helping small businesses, women businesses at the base of the pyramid that had trouble during the COVID. And we got that one of those, one or two of those supports, one of those grants.
With a little bit of support, with a little bit of information, we are seeing Nigerian value chain actors all along the value chain beginning to understand the potential that exists with a little bit of support in terms of information, in terms of infrastructure, equipment support, training, capacity, linkages. We are seeing that Nigerian ginger value chain potential is set to explode in the nearest future.
In Oyo, NICOP, through partnership with the government, distributed 28 million naira worth of agricultural inputs to farmers when fertilizers and other essential inputs were not available. The success of the NICOP's interventions in the tomato, chili, and ginger value chains are reflected in numbers, as over 25,000 beneficiaries have been provided trainings and support ranging from market linkages, contract farming, finance and investment facilitation, to certifications and hands-on experience missions. 11,000 beneficiaries have been informed on access to finance and investment options, with over 5,000 accessing loans of 519 million naira, which is already disbursed. Over 20 large market linkages have been facilitated, and 74% of NICOP beneficiaries have increased their income by 20% or more. The project recorded remarkable performance on gender indicators, as 32% of the overall beneficiaries are women, and 43% of the access to finance supported have been accessed by women.
Want to say a very, very big thank you to the European Union, the EU, the BMZ, the GIZ for this whole project. We are very grateful.
I want to appreciate the three organizations that came together to assist us farmers, the EU, the BMZ, and the GIZ. I really want to give it to them. They have really tried for us. I appreciate them very well. On behalf of my cluster, we say thank you to them.
Yes, sincerely want to thank the organization, the EU, BMZ, and GIZ that brought NICOP together and sponsored them to come and help us as a farmer in Ogun State. We really, really appreciate. Thank you very, very much. We can never forget what you have done for us in Ogun State, especially me.
Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka ku a duniya baki ɗaya, gaba dai EU, BMZ, GIZ, bye bye.